Okay.
talking about some of these stories.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, my
But
name is
yeah.
Roy Canterbury. I'm going to be your host today on Archery Talk 101. And we're going to have a nice conversation with Dave Gentry. We've been around for a while and got lots of stories, and I'm looking forward to hearing some of them. So, Dave, how about if you introduce yourself and tell us something about you?
All right. Yes. Roy, really appreciate the invite. Born and raised in Oklahoma. Uh, Wife and I and our two boys, we have two sons. We've lived in Arkansas for a spell too, but back in Oklahoma, and just grew up in a very sparsely populated area, and spent most of my years at the end of the dirt road on the South Canadian River. So ample opportunities to hunt, fish, just as I mentioned just in our previous conversation there, subsistence farming. Uh, and I've shot a stick and string all my life, ever since I was a little bitty kid, just fascinated with bows. Um, I'll tell you this little quick story to kind of describe the the flavor of the day. Of course, you know, when I would go to, excuse me, my granny and grandpa's house, they no plumbing, it's outhouse, right? They lived on the little house was right by a creek, just up the Canadian River, uh, just far enough up the creek to get out of the flood zone of the river. And but we'd go down there quite frequently, uh, and it wasn't much different at our house, by the way. We did have indoor plumbing, but my brother and I, my brother's a year older than I am, Dan. Dan and I would go to the creek. We'd play around and catch fish, and my granny would cook whatever fish we brought back and cleaned. I mean, it's literally she would fry up a 2-inch mudcat, and she did it often. But we would go dig some worms, and we would even we would beg some uh, sewing pins from Granny and sewing thread, and we would catch these little minnows. And we would put the minnows in a bucket or a tub, a wash tub on the porch. It's the same one we took a bath in, right? We'd put the
Yeah.
minnows in a tub, and Granny would let us each of us have a bobby pin and a couple of matches. So we would straighten out the bobby pin and take a piece of thread and make a bow out of it. And we would scrape the sulfur off the matches, and that was the arrow. And we would stick a pin in the end of that, or lash a pin to the end of that with the thread, and we would shoot the minnows in the tub until we whacked all them. Then we would feed the minnows to the chickens. We didn't waste nothing. But
Yeah.
I mean, even like at 2 or 3 years old, just fascinated with archery, and have done it all my life and just love it.
So you started basically as soon as you could walk in archery.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, yeah. Uh, whacked a million grasshoppers as a kid, and quite a few as a
Oh.
grown up. That's good practice.
Yeah, we're all still kids, and
Yeah,
yeah, it's kind of interesting. When I would go to my aunt and uncle's, they still had an outhouse, so I can remember going there, and if you
yeah,
needed to go, you went to the outhouse, and
yeah. Just the way it is.
yeah, and a lot of your
But
campgrounds now, that's what you have. You just got, the hole that you go into, and some
oh
of them will
yeah,
have indoor plumbing, and some are just basically an outhouse that you go in, and
yeah, yeah. It's just a latrine. They work fine.
yeah,
Uh, it's like I appreciate indoor plumbing and air conditioning and such as that nowadays. I
yeah.
still work. I still work a lot outside. Very much an outside person, but uh, I know just a little bit more about myself. So that's a little bit of the flavor of childhood growing up. And my dad pumped an oil lease when I was a kid for several years. Lived on the lease way out in the sticks, and uh, we raised our own beef, butchered our own pigs, cured our own hams, all that stuff, milked cows, uh, and hunted and fished. And back then, we had a tremendous amount of quail in Oklahoma, and we didn't have any deer at all. There was no deer. Uh, but Had a lot of quail, duck hunted, bird hunted, squirrel hunted, just small game stuff. Did all that uh, my entire life, and we we would go. We call it bird hunting, quail hunting, bobwhite quail. Uh,
Yeah.
During season, just of course we didn't have to go anywhere to hunt. I mean, you just get the dog and the gun and walk out the door, right? I mean, you're there. So that was the opportunities the that were afforded and available is what you had at your back door, right? And you mentioned a moment ago some of your most challenging or memorable hunts, and there have been many. There's been opportunities, of course, over the years. Um, going to the Rockies elk hunting, and hope to go again in September. And but I think probably some of the most memorable as a young man or even as a kid were just right there at home. And it wasn't the big trophy buck or anything. It was just the unique circumstances surrounding that particular covey rise or that group of teal coming in over the decoys. Those things are just such precious memories. My dad would often go hunt. We lived close to a lake, Shawnee, Oklahoma, and about a quarter of a mile from the lake. And he's pumping the wells, doing what he did. Well, it's not a 8 to 5 job. It's like if you got work to do, you do it. And there's always plenty of work. But he would take my brother and I, like 3 or 4 years old. He'd bundle us all up and he'd build a little makeshift blind over there, scatter out a few decoys, and we'd go over and watch Dad whack the ducks whenever they would come into the decoys. And we would scramble to get the old shotgun shell because it's addictive, that burnt powder smell. You grab it
Oh,
up and smell it.
yeah.
Then we'd have the shells on our fingers, clacking them around. But yes, as far as the memorable hunts, those days as a child and experiencing that, and just like sometimes it was such a just the weather conditions environment so inviting, just a beautiful day, and other times it was just terribly cold, wind howling, but the range of experience and emotion. Uh, but yeah, it was such a unique world when we grew up, right?
Right.
Uh, when my brother, as I mentioned, is a year older than I, and we didn't, our little country school, they didn't have kindergarten or anything. But so anyway, first grade, Dan's going to school and I can't go. And I'm really bummed out. I don't like that at all. But I coped okay because I went squirrel hunting. He went to school, I went squirrel hunting.
That's
Now,
fair trade.
and I share that story with folks every now and then nowadays, and they just look at you like you're crazy. Then say, "You telling me you hunted by yourself at age 5?" And I said, "Yeah. The rule was we had a 20 acre patch that we called a hog patch." And the rule was I could go squirrel hunting by myself, just don't get off the hog pasture. So if something happened, they would at least have some proximity of where I was, right?
Yeah.
And and I brought squirrels home. So Dad had cut down a 22 single shot 22 rifle, and it was just I would go squirrel hunting when Dan went to school. It worked out okay. But
Yeah. It's
that's the way we grew up then. It was you were immersed in uh, livestock, milking cows, hunting, fishing. It wasn't that, oh, today we're going to go learn how to shoot. It was just everyday life. Yes, it was just always there, if that makes sense.
yeah, well, it does to me. It may not some of the young kids, but it
Yeah,
makes sense to me. And I can remember when I was probably 10 years old or something like that. I was
yeah,
out at down at the Glenwood Park in Glenwood, Iowa. My grandpa was the caretaker, and we was out in the back, shooting a 22 as a 22 410 over and under. And we're out there shooting it. And here comes this squirrel, and my grandpa's give me a 410 shell. It's now I lead it a little bit, and
yeah.
that was my first squirrel.
Yeah, there you go. See?
I let it and I got it. I
Yeah.
was like 10, something like that. And, it's no big deal. And I remember in high school, we got a pickup truck and there's a gun rack in the back of the pickup truck.
Absolutely. Ever
And
bird
we'd
season.
carry our shotguns around in there and our rifles. It
Yeah.
was going out someplace for shooting a rifle. And there's always a shotgun in there.
Yeah.
Even when I was in high school, we shot 22s in the high school. We had a
Yeah.
range down there set up for it, and they had different tournaments we'd go to around the city. So we're a kid, we're carrying these guns around into the high schools,
Yeah.
and I was like, nobody cared. That was
No,
just normal.
it was
Um,
absolutely normal. It's like the two gun, my brother and I would do that, have both shotguns in the gun rack, windows rolled down, doors not locked, you know. It's just, and the rule at our house was, mom and dad always told us this, if you keep your grades up, meaning A's and B's, well, every once in a while you can go bird hunting during school. So you can skip school and go hunting, right? But the rule was not only did you have to maintain your good grades, you got to take care of your responsibilities, as Dad always says. You work first and play second.
right.
And and but the other part of that was you have to let everybody know where you're going. Everybody being mom and dad and the principal at the school, and or teachers whose class you're going to skip, right? And anyway, we, we would do that. We'd let mom and dad know that said, okay, say this afternoon we're going to go bird hunting and tell them where we're going to go. But and I would go into the principal's office and he'd look up and say, "Hey, Dave," and I said, "Hey, Dan and I are going to go bird hunting." He said, "Well, your mom and dad know where you are and where you're going to be." I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Well, good luck. I wish I could go." And on a good day, he went with us.
Oh, that's even better when you take the principal with you.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he actually got to go with us a time or two. It was really, really good, very enjoyable. But yeah, nobody worried about, a gun in a gun rack or whatever. It's just everyday
It's
stuff.
just normal and I remember going out, pheasant hunting in places that it's all houses now.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's just all houses and the way things are growing, and so you got to go further and further
Yeah.
and then after a while I quit bird hunting because do all that walking for three birds, or I can go sit in a tree stand and get a big deer.
Yeah, it changed here tremendously, and oh, mostly in the 80s, but in the late 70s it started the decline of the quail population. But especially in the 80s, and there's much conversation about all the Watson whys, but yeah, we have nowhere near the quail population here that we used to. And but the other side of that is with the deer, they transplanted deer. Oklahoma Wildlife Department. Uh, I remember very well the day the one of the game rangers, game warden, came out to talk to Dad and of course two other neighbors around there. So, as I said, sparsely populated. So to give you an idea, the square section, 4 miles around the section on which we live, that 640 acre section, there were two other houses on that section. Across over to the northwest, folks had a dairy. Anyway, very few people, right? Like you were saying, now there's people everywhere. But anyway, basically the story was it's like the game ranger guy came out, and I was really impressed with that fella in that green uniform. That's what I wanted to do when I grew up right then. But basically, the story went like, "Hey, we're going to try to transplant some deer, but if we bring them out here, you're not going to shoot them, right?" And
Oh,
uh, and of course, Dad talked with him a good while there, and Pop was always, in my estimation, a bit ahead of the game on being mindful of wildlife and wildlife management. Uh, compared to others of that era, late 50s, early 60s. Even back then, Dad would fence off 3 to 5 acre food plots just for wildlife, birds, deer, rabbits, whatever ate it. Of course, like I said, there wasn't deer at that time, but uh, and plant mung beans, milo, headgear, whatever, high gear, head feed, uh, just for wildlife is also always very mindful of management and uh, trying to take care of wildlife, supporting the wildlife habitat, the environment. But anyway, everybody around, they all came to terms. So that was in the early 60s. They brought two does, four bucks to this particular vicinity. And within 10 years, they opened deer season. It was just amazing how fast. Of course, now we have deer everywhere,
Yeah.
a lot of whitetail. But it was just really interesting to see that process as a kid growing up and watch how quickly when the environment and habitat and management is dialed in, how quickly a population can not only become sustainable, but it's to the point of being managed with hunting bag limits and so forth. It was really interesting, but yeah, so I shifted from archery on rabbits and squirrels and frogs and whatnot to bigger critters like whitetail. It's like that was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You get a little bit more meat with your shot.
yeah, just a bit. So yourself, Roy, as I recall, I think you'd mentioned before some of the ones I listened to that uh, you shot. When did you start shooting the compound, or did you stay with them much? Or
I started out with a recurve like you did back
oh
in
yeah,
the
that's all there
60s.
was. Yeah, all
That's
it
all it
was back
was.
then. Yeah,
You had a
longbows and
choice of
recurves.
recurve or longbow or fiberglass or wood.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
and then you had your choice of aluminum, wood, or fiberglass arrows.
Fiberglass
Your
arrows.
bow
Yeah.
fishing was fiberglass arrows. You needed to wait. And it
Yeah.
wasn't until, well, the late 60s when the first compound was developed. You
Yes.
couldn't buy them. So it was
Right.
not till the 70s before they had any compounds that you could buy, like the whitetail
And
2, the bear whitetail 2,
right. And L.
was a good one.
Jennings compounds. Yeah.
Yeah. And my brother had bought one, and that's the first one I shot. And then it wasn't until later in the 70s when I bought my first compound, and I've been shooting them ever since. I still have my first uh, recurve bow. It was a
Do
Ben
you?
Pearson fiberglass bow, a 25 pound, and I
Yeah.
wanted to use it for bow fishing. So it didn't have any way to fasten anything to it because it's just there. So I've done
Right.
a bracket around it to fasten the reel to. I can't even put
Yeah.
it in my hand anymore because my hand is quite a bit bigger than when I was 10, you know.
Oh, yeah. I know what you mean.
But I
Yeah.
shot that lot into cardboard boxes, and I don't use all the tip of the arrow. I'm using it as a reference, and doing all the the string walking. I I heard that it's like string walking, and I was just watching the Skinwalker Ranch, and I was like, okay, is this some? And then I actually
I'm,
interviewed a guy that does it, so now I understand how it's done. But one
yeah.
finger above, two finger below, draw back, look at the target, and then shoot. I never
Yeah.
reference off the bow. I figure if I'm going to reference off something on the bow that's inconsistent, I'm going to put sights on
Uh, exactly. Yeah.
it.
I'm with you. That's I was just the same. It strikes me the same way. Of course, it's like we grew up doing it different. It's like you want to shoot that, well, look at it and shoot it.
Yeah,
Just just do it. Like and nowadays a lot of people kind of poo-poo the idea. Just like, well, you just it's like throwing a baseball. You don't aim a baseball. You just rear back and chunk
yeah,
it. Yeah,
yeah.
and it's just muscle memory and practice and repetition and just do it. And I think the other part of that though is. For folks like us in the era that we grew up in uh, versus what I see so much today, and this is also uh, in in rifle shooting. I've got quite a bit of my whole family's more or less consumed with shooting sports of one form or another, right? But anyway, I'm in the process of building a 500-yard range at my house. Just almost got it done. But anyhow, uh, the mechanics of that, and it's Uh, and I'm not a long range shooter. I enjoy it, but it's, dinging something out there 800 yards or whatever. But I'm not the guy that's going to chase a half inch at 1,000. That's not. I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested. That is a whole nother world. But the contrast between the way I pursue archery versus shooting the rifles, it's a very mechanical, methodical process to shoot that rifle at range. what I really love about archery is the very fluid flight of the arrow. You just look at what you want to shoot and you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that arrow flight.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but when I pick up a recurve, I instinctively shoot it. I look where I want it to go and I shoot. When I
Yeah.
pick up my compound, I cannot shoot a compound instinctively. It's a
Yeah.
different
I
weapon.
can,
My mindset changes.
well,
So
it's
I'm
the
drawn
mechanics
back
of
on
it.
anchor point, pins, the peep, all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, because I shot that so much that way that when I pick up my recurve, because I have a 40-pound PSE recurve that I have as well. So, uh,
Yeah.
you know, it's a little bit, and I shoot that. I got it set up for bow fishing as well. I
Yeah.
shoot that completely different because, well, one, you don't have time to aim with a fish. They're
Right.
there
Yeah.
and they're gone. So you draw
Yeah.
back and you have to hit the anchor point and go. There's
Hmm.
no holding and aiming with it. It's look at the
Yeah.
target, draw back, and go.
Yeah.
Um, and with a compound, I can't do that. Just like when I grab a handgun, I shoot it differently than a rifle, shoot it differently than a shotgun.
Yeah.
They're all different, and my mindset changes depending what weapon it is. Because I
Hmm.
can't shoot a shotgun like I do my rifle. I
Oh
can't
no.
shoot either one
Yeah.
like I do my pistol. I can't do any.
Yeah.
I can't shoot it like I do my compound or anything else. But you can kind of use that instinctive point and shoot with a handgun
Yeah.
because
You
if you
can.
do it enough, if the pistol fits you correctly, you look at the
It,
target, you aim,
it,
look at your sights,
yeah.
you're on. If it
And
doesn't fit
that's,
you right, that's the wrong pistol for you. So
well, yeah, if it doesn't fit, it's pointless. It's just going to be a great exercise in frustration. And I agree 100%. If you get one that fits, shotgun, pistol, bow, it just goes where you're looking. It just goes where you're looking at.
yeah,
But if it doesn't fit, it's not gonna it's not
oh,
gonna work at all.
it's a nightmare.
Yeah,
Um, I think I told this maybe on the last podcast something, but when I was a PSC dealer, when I had my own store, they purchased Browning Archery.
right.
And then
Yeah,
because they have their own team of designers, so the Browning um, designers for the Browning bow line were not the same
mm,
ones for the PSC line or the Archer Research or any of the other ones. And they
yeah.
come up with this design that I thought was really cool. Had two cams at the top.
Yeah, the double cam. Yeah.
Yeah, one rotated one way, one rotated that counter
Uh,
rotating. And
yeah, I
I
remember
wanted to
that.
shoot that. I thought it was so cool. I wanted to shoot it. I could not get that bow to fit me. No matter what I did, it would
Yeah,
not fit me.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's the way it goes. I
yeah,
tried compounds for a stretch there, like in the late 70s. Uh, of course, back then that was a new great thing, right? So, all right, well, I'm gonna try to, and just very much a blue collar guy, and saved up a few bucks, and actually I traded my Ben Pearson recurve in on the and in on the compound, and which within a week I regretted that. It was just.
yeah,
But and a big part of that obviously is just because I'd only shot recurves and longbows forever, right? At that point, and it was just the mechanics of the compound, and they worked fine. And I actually shot compounds for a few years, uh, but it just, as Fred Bear said, when someone asked him, he said, "Why don't you shoot a compound? You have all this, at your that's available to you." And he said, "The compound just doesn't lend itself to my style of shooting." Like that nails it pretty well.
yeah,
And I just went back to recurves and longbows, and just I've been with that ever since. It just suits me. And I tried the sights, and I did shoot sights, just doing the very mechanical static stuff with the compound, and I ended up dropping that and just shot them instinctive. Uh, but as you said, and I found it to be very, very challenging, just as you mentioned. I just couldn't do it. And finally, whenever I was able to save up enough money to get a good recurve, I bailed on the compounds. And
yeah,
now I've got probably maybe not too many longbows and compounds, but I have some.
yeah. We all have, as long as we've been shooting, we all have a few. You know,
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think this year I'm leaning to hunting this fall with a longbow. Dan Tolke, a bowyer from Montana, in Montana, I believe. They build really, really good bows. And there's some just great bowyers. Actually, one of my neighbors around here, one of the bows that I shoot, just it's a recurve. The one I shoot day in and day out. It's like uh, 40s at my draw length. I've got long arms, but uh, it's probably about 44 pounds. It was just uh, Warren builds just a fantastic bow. Vortex bows is what it is. But anyway, there's a lot of great bowyers out there, and there's just production bows nowadays. Just off the shelf. You go to Bass Pro or wherever. Uh, there's some there's some really good quality bows for very
Yeah.
reasonable prices. Now, if you're able to shoot the difference, which I'm probably not able to shoot the difference, but whenever you, like you mentioned before, when you get that bow that fits you, it's kind of like magic. It really
Yeah.
is. It's kind of hard to describe, I think. It is for me anyway, to get that full essence of the to capture the difference with words. Uh, One of the first bows that I ever ran across like that was built by a bowyer over in Arkansas, and now the guy that has that particular company is Roy Hall, and he builds great bows. But anyway, yeah, that little bow was just amazing. You didn't have to just whatever. You didn't have to think about it or do anything. You just put it
It
in
just
motion and it
fit. Yeah.
just
Yeah.
automatic. Yeah, it's a dream. Unfortunately, that one broke. They have
Oh,
that they fail now and then.
yeah. Yeah. They do. It's just something that happens.
Yeah.
I've actually had a compound break in half when
I
I
remember
shot.
hearing you tell about that. Yeah.
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 Yeah, that was a surprise. And all of a sudden you're
Yeah.
holding the
Yeah.
bottom half of your compound bow, the top half just kind of smack you in the chest and hanging. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a shocker.
Yeah.
My sons and I back when they were young, and well, my oldest son, he builds self bows now, but uh we I was showing them how to build bows, how to make bows and harvest a tree and do all that stuff. And all three of us, my two sons and I, we'd made our own bows and we're getting them all tillered and finishing up mine was a hickory, and hickory makes good bow. Uh, but uh, that one failed. And for people that are not familiar with self bows and when they fail, how people have an idea that seems that it's kind of like breaking a green hickory limb. It bends, it cracks, and finally it splits. Oh, that's not the way they go. It's an explosion.
Yeah. When
My
when
my
they fail really good.
yes. Yeah, yeah. It's quite amazing. But yeah, we were shooting our bows. We just got them all done and probably shot the bow maybe 50 times. And so it's my turn and I'm shooting my bow and I get it just to draw about 6 inches from my face and I'm coming back and it failed. And I just knocked the crap out of myself. Boom.
Yeah.
And of course, both my sons, they're teenagers. They're dying laughing, right? This
Well,
is
yeah.
right. But yeah, good times. It's good
Yeah,
stuff.
they can be dangerous when they fail. And
Oh, it
um
can. Yes.
one
Yeah.
of the things I always tell archers that are, shooting compounds and using a release, I always start them off with a wrist strap, just because it's safer than handheld ones. Those, if
Yes.
you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna smack yourself. I had a friend of mine, he's talking all the time. He went to a release because he used to shoot fingers all the time. Got a new bow and a little bit shorter, and yeah, he wanted to go to release. And I told him, "So when you get ready to draw, put that finger behind the trigger." And he says, this thing failed. It smacked me in the mouth. No, it didn't fail, because
Yeah.
I didn't give him a cheap release. Um, I gave him a good quality one. I think it was a Scott release, and they make really good
Yeah.
releases. I says,
Oh,
you
yeah.
pulled the trigger when you drew back.
Yeah.
Well, no, I
Yeah.
didn't. And then other friend was like, yeah, guaranteed you did. Because what happens
Yeah.
if you don't put your finger behind the trigger, as you start drawing back, you start making a fist and you end up
Yep.
pulling the trigger.
Yep.
And
And it's
mine is so short because I have it right at this first joint, from
yeah.
the hand out, that first joint. And so I have to really stretch, I put a mark in my finger because I have to really stretch back, draw back,
Hmm.
anchor, then put it over and relax it on it. But um, when you get a handheld release, The problem with these handheld ones, like this, there is no place to put your finger behind the triggers. Once you cock them, they're there, and the trigger back here,
Yeah,
I got to push pretty hard because I got the hardest trigger string in there. But when you put it into your hand, it don't take much to make a little fist and make it fire. So you got to
right.
remember pull back your thumb off the trigger, and then when you put it on, if you're going to let down, you got to take it off, and then the hinges. There's nothing. It's just a twisting that twists
Right.
back a
Yeah.
little bit, fires it. So you got
Yeah.
to
Just a
remember to put a
pivot.
lot of pressure on the index finger, let it go forward, to let down. So that's why I never recommend them for beginners because that's
Oh
just
yeah.
too
Yeah. It
much
has a
work.
very,
So
very
use one
specific
like
technique.
this, wrist
Yeah,
strap.
exactly.
I like the ones with the little hook on them that when you
Yeah.
pull the trigger, it opens up instead of the
Right.
jaws because I
Yeah.
can hook this on my loop without looking at it. And
Yeah.
then
Right.
I don't have to look at my string because I know we've said this many times on the podcast that every time, and you're probably the same way, every time I go to look down at my string or my bow or something else, look back up, the deer's looking at me.
Yes, exactly. I've done it, and over the years, it's like gotten my stuff refined to where I don't have to look at it. I don't have to look at anything because I've had the same thing happen. It's like you look down, you look back up. Oops, I got caught.
Yeah. But if you never look down, then they don't look at you. I think it's
Yeah.
something to do with you looking down and catch that movement and not
Yeah.
trying to figure what the movement is. And then you look back up and catch more movement and hopefully they
Hmm.
still figured you out. Otherwise, they're gone.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Uh, I've had the same thing happen with turkeys. For we only, unfortunately, in our particular area, as I know a lot of the country, the decline in turkey population, uh, in my estimation, or at least right here near home, we have some pretty good turkey hunting in Oklahoma, but right here where I'm at, it's they're pretty sparse, even though, and that's just my opinion, because we still have an open season. I mean, you can kill a tom a year in the spring. Uh, but there's just not very many, and I don't feel like it's a huntable population, so I've left them alone here at the house nearby. But anyway, yeah, there's been a lot of times in the turkey woods, and I've been caught by turkeys more than deer, trying to get things arranged, and especially with a longbow, uh, yeah, it's getting drawn, and I, I'm laughing at myself right now because like people talk about buck fever and so forth, and I've gotten excited deer hunting uh, to the point of not probably what most people would say buck fever, but just the failure to concentrate, pick a spot. The instinctive shooting. You got to pick a spot. If I
Right.
don't pick a spot, I'm going to shoot over it every time because your eye automatically goes to that horizontal line, the top of that body, and my arrow will go just about that far right over his back when I don't pick a spot. Uh, to illustrate that, yeah, this is, well, I don't know, 30 years ago. But anyway, it's just early in the season, uh, I killed a like a 4-year-old 4x5, a 9 point, and on a Saturday morning, uh, and it was actually a runt, if you will. Everybody thinks, oh, it's a mature deer. It's a big body, big horns. No, he was a runt, but he ate okay.
Yeah.
But so anyway, made a good shot on him. The next weekend, when I had an opportunity to go again, I saw a few. I saw 6 deer that morning, and it was time for me to go. So I'm getting ready to get out of my stand. But in the meantime, all morning long, there's been this little gray squirrel that's just been just harassing everything in the woods, right? And so, okay, before I go, I'm going to whack that squirrel. So he's out there and measured it off 27 yards, perfect heart shot. There may be a little luck involved in that, but anyway, just great.
No, just skill.
But and I shot a lot back then and was a pretty good shot. Anyway, uh, that evening, I go to a different spot, and this is just to illustrate the point of picking a spot, right? So killed a 9 point last weekend, killed a cat squirrel at 30 yards, almost 30 yards that morning. I'm on my stand. Here comes the little fork horn buck, broadside, 8 yards. No idea I'm anywhere around. I shoot right over his back. Yeah. if you don't pick a spot, you're going to shoot over their
I,
back.
I've done that with my compound that one time. I shot right over it. And I had a field point with me, and I thought I'd do that. I can, take a shot or something. And
Yeah,
I picked out a leaf and I hit it. Now, how did I miss that big deer? I forgot to pick a spot. I
that's
just
it.
pointed and shot.
Yeah, yeah, and I've been doing this for you know almost 7 decades, and it's still the same. If I don't pick a spot, I'm going to shoot right over him every time.
Yeah.
And I've done that several times over the years. Just the failure to concentrate, right? Just and not only on deer, on fish or whatever I'm hunting. Turkeys, I've shot over just right over the back on a lot of turkeys. I've actually developed I finally settled on it's like I'm shooting at the base of the neck on a turkey, which is a good broadhead. I don't need none of the fancy whatever kind of broadheads they or heads they sell for that. If you just take a good the same broadhead I hunt with, hunt whatever, deer, elk, whatever, because the neck and head is bigger than the vitals on a turkey as far as heart and lung.
Yeah.
And I've gotten lucky a few times on turkeys. But yeah, it's a pretty good challenge with the turkeys with the
Well, when
longhorn
when you look
recurve.
at how big is that neck as opposed to the heart,
Yeah.
when you buy a turkey out of the store, those, a 20-pound turkey, that's a good sized turkey.
Oh
How big
yeah.
is that heart when it comes out? It might be like,
It
if you're lucky, an inch diameter.
yeah, right. Yeah. Its head's double that at least, Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then of course you got the neck, right? Back the and some of the tribes still do around here. They'll have, the powwows and have but it was one of the Native American things. They would have what they call cornstalk shoots. So they just stick a cornstalk out there, and just different archers shoot at it from various distances. And I don't know if you've ever tried that, but it's something about that vertical line. That vertical line, it's amazing how I'm not going to say easy it is to hit it, but if you do that, you will be surprised how consistently close to that vertical line you will be. And
That I've done that, and teaching people how to shoot sometimes. I'll take a vertical line and a horizontal line independently and tell them anywhere on the line's okay. Just hit the line.
yeah,
And I'll be sighting it in, you get it pretty good. So they're consistently 1 inch wide line. They're hitting it, when it's in horizontal. Then we turn it vertical. And you know what? They're staying on it because your mind will stay on that vertical line. And now you just prove to yourself you can hit a 1 inch spot
there you go. Yeah,
consistently.
exactly. Yeah,
And if you don't, it's you not concentrating on that spot. And it's amazing how accurate you can be shooting at those straight lines and
yeah,
not having
yeah.
to dot.
It really helps you dial in and concentrate, and that's the deal. Yeah,
It also helps you in setting your pins. Those that are shooting pins instinctively is a little different, but setting your pins, if you're shooting at a horizontal line, now all you got to do is worry about how your elevation, and
yes,
then shooting at your vertical line, and then all you're worrying about is your windage.
yeah,
And with the center shot design riser bows, that's pretty much easy to set. Because
yeah,
I have a laser that I put onto the sight and line it back up with the string, and then adjust the sight left and right until the tip of the arrow is in the same line. Now your left and right is set perfectly.
oh wow, that's
And
cool.
then to set your pins, look at the string to the tip of your arrow. Now you have it straight, and adjust your pins so that you can't see your pins because the string is blocking it. Now your pins are
Yeah,
set.
yeah,
And now you have to worry about elevation. And, I've set up a lot of bows when I set them up. I
yeah,
got pretty close in there. And
yeah,
that's
and
where
get
shooting at that horizontal line, adjust up and down what you need to do. And once you get that 20-yard pin set at 20 yards, you're you're good to go. And then you just got to set your distance.
yeah, yeah, that's
As long
good.
as you're not canting your bow over that, when you have pins, if you're canting your bow over as you move the higher pins, now you're moving over to the side. And one way to
Yeah,
check that is to take your 20-yard pin and shoot at that spot. Shoot the same spot with your 30-yard pin, your 40-yard, 50-yard pin, whatever you have. And that should go in a straight line up and down.
Right.
You should be able to put a level on them and it go pretty much basically, take the average where they're at, and it should go straight up and down. If it doesn't, you're canting your bow over.
Right.
and,
Yep.
and that's where the levels come in. I don't even use my level anymore because so many times I know what it feels like when it's level.
Well, yeah,
And
yeah.
now when you get
Muscle
standing on a
memory.
hill, that's a little different because you're in a weird position, but you still know
Hmm.
what it feels like when it's level because you've
Yeah.
done it so much. And when
Yeah.
I was doing
It's
it that
just,
time, when I learned, I'd look at the level and I wouldn't look at it after that, and take my shot just like, okay, there it is. It's on.
yeah.
And then I'm not even sure how many of my bows even have levels on them, but uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
with
The kit.
traditional equipment, you don't have those things on there. So,
Right.
because it comes off the same spot each time, so you can almost lay the bow down and shoot sideways or any way you want because it's all the same reference point. You don't have sights.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That's you.
and you see a lot
I've
of archers
actually,
will bend over a little bit, helps hold the arrow on the rest.
yeah. Yeah. Uh, the, that level and having the pins in line and all that stuff. Actually, that's why I failed it shooting sights way back where because I just always grew up and they just always cant your bow, right? It's just always canted. So, uh, and it's you get your both eyes are field of view, and I think a whole lot of this, uh, or at least from my perspective, came from just growing up doing what we did, bird hunting, duck hunting, lots and lots of wing shooting, right? So, as you mentioned, how you shoot your shotgun versus rifle and so forth. Uh, and after you're comfortable with that shotgun on at wing shooting, it becomes very much an instinctive process. Uh,
Right.
and one of a couple of my cousins, they're real serious in trap and skeet, and we talked about this kind of stuff. I mean, we grew up together, we bird hunted together way back then. But my point with all that stuff is that instinctive aspect, the field of vision. Uh, after however many thousands Covey rises, who knows? Uh, to kind of put that in perspective, we way back when we had very liberal bird seasons. Now there were the days of the week that you could hunt quail, and the management process was okay. Well, you can hunt that quail 2 days, and then no bird hunting on this day. Then you hunt day, no hunt day, to let the birds recoup and so forth. So it was a very structured process, but liberal bag limits, meaning like you could 10 birds a day. Uh, and my dad, my brother, and I, we hunted a lot. And one, and we would keep records actually. How many shots fired, how many kills, how many misses, how many cripples. And just off the top of my head, Dan, my brother, killed 509 birds one season through the whole season. So anyway, there's lots of wing shooting, and I
Yeah.
had the worst average as far as wing shooting. My average on on kills was like 83%. Anyway, meaning like okay, we've done this a lot and we're all pretty good at it. But the whole process of that that field of vision, capturing what's going on out there, you track on one bird as it comes up, and as you pull the trigger on that one, you're already shifting to the next bird. You're already tracking another bird even before you shoot that one. It's a very fluid thing, and I think that, just being immersed in that world is why I just failed miserably at sights on a bow. Uh, because
Yeah.
I couldn't stand to have the bow vertical because that blocked my field of vision, right? I would practice and practice, and I'm doing everything just right, shooting that bail. But when I get out there in the woods or in the field, that bow comes up, it's laying over because I want to see. I got to see. Uh, so anyway, that's why I didn't live with the sights pins very long. I just couldn't do it. It just didn't work for me. But
Yeah, and a lot of the compound bows, you can't them over very far because your arrows won't stay on the rest.
yes, that's
Uh,
true.
Now, if you got like a biscuit or something, that because you can doesn't matter what you do with it, that's not going to fall
Yeah,
off.
right.
But you know that's the advantage. Disadvantage is that your fletchings come in contact 100% of the time. Of course, off of
Yes.
traditional equipment, it does as well. But um,
Yeah. Yeah,
you know,
that dealing with that parallax and the type of wrist you have on there, and I went through a lot of effort of having having a type of wrist that I could shoot instinctive and can't. And I always tended to shoot heavier bows. I don't anymore. It's too much arthritis, but the one that like the one I plan on hunting with this year, it's about 58 pounds, I guess, 58, 60 pounds at my draw length. But uh, back then, it's like I think the lightest bow that I had for years was probably 85 pounds, and it's I didn't really have a good reason for that other than just like at some point any angle is a good angle
yeah,
when you're shooting a whitetail. It's just going to break through whatever. Yeah, but it wasn't that I felt like I had to have an 85-pound stem or compound versus a 45-pound. It's just yeah, just doing physical labor, and it's just it was comfortable. It was easier for me to shoot a heavy bow. Uh,
yeah,
you know, I know I've got some friends from in the day, and they feel the same way, and it was probably due to sloppy technique, right? Because the lighter bow really it shows you where your boo-boos are.
yeah. I know my compound was set at 70 pounds, and you'd even shoot 300 rounds. I shot at 70, and the second half was always better than the first one. But if I'd
Yeah,
shoot at 60 pounds, I didn't shoot as well.
yeah,
And the reason for that, I think, for me anyway, is as I drew back that 70-pound bow, I had to hold it more weight. It helped me lock into my form. Where the lighter one, it just there wasn't enough resistance on it, I think.
yeah. Let it
So
be a little
now
sloppy.
it was I didn't have to lock into my position. It was just there was just like nothing there. So I just kind of floated around. So but now I'm when I get back to shooting, I may have to go down to 60. I'm still trying to build up strength from
Yeah, yeah, your accident and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, getting back in the groove, getting built back up. Yeah, that's the
yeah,
other thing about if we live long enough, all kinds of stuff happens and we have to kind of start over.
yeah.
When
And
all
they
had to
give me
do
some
that.
elastic bands to use, and I've been doing a lot of pulling grass out of the garden, so I've been building up. They had this
Yeah,
the yellow one or the green one is the weakest one, and
yeah,
then you have the blue one, which is a little heavier, and then the yellow one, which is the heaviest.
yeah,
And to start with, I couldn't even do the green one.
yeah.
That was work. And then
Hmm.
now I've got enough strength. I can do all three of them now. I can draw like I'm drawing my bow. I can draw it back. It's difficult, but I've at
That's
least
good
got
though.
back up and I can do all three of them because first you
Yeah,
go through the lighter one and finally so
yeah.
I probably wouldn't be able
You're,
to shoot too many times, but
yeah. Well, you're gaining on it. Yeah, I've
yeah,
got some of
I'm
that.
gaining on it. So thought I was going to have to get my 25. I've got a 25-pound left-handed bow, a
Yeah,
PSE. I was going to make a string for that, so just shoot it left-handed to work the back muscles.
right.
And now I think I can probably go to my recurve because I don't think I'm going to try and pull back my compound yet. I got to break that over at 60.
Oh yeah, yeah. That
My hunt
breakover
bow's still
part.
set at 70 because that's what
It's
that all the
it's
sights are set up
dialed.
for 70.
It's dialed.
And
Yeah,
yeah, it's all dialed in to shoot my broadheads with not my field tips because they
right.
don't hit the same spot.
Oh
And
yeah,
that's the thing with the fixed blades. I shoot muzzies. It's the only broadhead I've ever shot is muzzies from
they're good
from
heads.
the
Yeah,
70s. When I got them, that's the first one I got, and I switched from 145 grain four blade to a three blade 100 grain.
yeah,
So I went a little bit lighter because arrows are lighter, and um,
yeah. Well,
you
that
know,
whole compound system that
yeah,
works, right?
and
Yeah,
it's faster. My target ones are like 370 grains. I'm shooting at
yeah,
70 pounds, but my
hmm
hunting ones are a little bit heavier.
yeah,
Because the arrows originally were not spine correctly. There's spine for the next heavier spine.
Yeah.
And so then I wanted to replace them. It's like, I don't have those heavy wrong spined arrows because there's marked for the POC goes one, two, three, four, four being the heaviest spine,
Right.
and they mismarked the 300s at 400. Their 400s marked them as 300, and so now they're
Hmm.
heavier. So then when I set up the other hunting arrows, I had some weight tubes. I had to put some weight tubes in it to get the weight up to the same,
Yes.
and
Right.
and they're a little bit heavier arrow. But my
Hmm.
first shot at a deer that I got was 21/17 full length arrow,
Yeah.
145 grain tip at 52 pounds out of the
Yeah.
compound.
Yeah.
And I almost got a complete pass through. And I was 40 yards away and 20 feet up in the tree.
Yeah.
I had to get up 20 feet up in the tree to get over the brush to get to the trail.
Yeah. That's just very similar to the first one that I killed with a bow. Uh, it was I forgot what brand compound that was. It was a 90-pound pull, and I had 2219s full length, and I don't recall the broadhead. And I find this kind of interesting, and Roy, you probably do as well. The uh, the target, okay, on that animal, where are the targets? More plural, right? Nowadays, we only see one target, the heart lung area, right? Well, you
Yeah.
remember like back in the day, Bowhunter magazine and others, like one article I remember very well from back when Chuck Adams. So where's the lethal spots on a deer or elk? Uh, so it's like the jugular, obviously the heart, lungs, renal artery, uh, arteries the around the piriformis, the hips area. Anyway, all the places that you can kill a deer very effectively and just end it all really quick. Obviously, it's a small target, but if you can hit it, well, go for it. But anyway, on that particular deer out of that compound, it was 46 yards, and I shot better back then. I don't shoot at them that far now, but it's very calm. Pull it back. I had the target right on the hips, and it was a pass-through shot, believe it or not. Broke both right at the top of the femur, his broadside, broke right under the ball, broke both hip bones, and it just hung on the bone. The fletching of the arrow hung on the bone on the outside. Now, obviously, that's a lot of mass going really fast out of
Yeah.
a 90-pound bow. But anyway, to the point I mentioned a while ago, it's like at some point, any angle's fine with a whitetail. But yeah, it's very similar to what your story there is. But yeah, I was quite proud of that one. That was the first whitetail I ever had taken.
Yeah. I had one, I've told this a couple times, but I drew back on the deer, and that pin was right behind that shoulder, right where I wanted it to be. And I shot,
Hmm.
and we tracked it for a while, and we finally found it. I hit the artery by the back leg, by the hip,
Yeah, the femoral
and it was
femoral
walking from my
artery.
left to my right.
Hmm.
And that's when I discovered I have a little blurry in my right eye, because I seen two
Ah,
sets of pins. I had
yeah.
operation on my sinus, and then they took the eye out of the socket, and that gross stuff. So I seen
Hmm.
double. I see two sets of pins, and my
Yeah,
right eye has always been clear. The left eye has always been a little blurrier. You know,
yeah.
so over the years, my mind just ignored the dim pin
Sure. Yeah.
and only picked up the right one. Well, now they've switched. Right's dim,
Ah,
the left one's clear,
yeah.
both eyes open. What pen did I pick up? With my left eye, the
Yeah. So
non-dominant
you're
eye, picked it
right.
up, and I shot. So I went down to the range. I'm shooting five spot, upper right hand corner, left eye closed, nail it, nail it. Open it up. I missed it to the left, the total target
Yes.
at 20
Right.
yards.
Yeah.
And then I had to. I'm blinking my left eye, forced me to pick at the right pin, and then I found if I have a hooded sweatshirt on, as I turn my
Uh-huh.
head, blocks my left eye.
Blocks your left eye. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
that's amazing. That's reminds me so much of my dad as he got older and we're duck hunting. And this is how he discovered that he had problems with glaucoma. creating blind spots in his eye. His right eye dominant, shot right-handed. And here comes the ducks. And I asked him, I said, Pop, why didn't you shoot that duck? And he said, when I put my gun up there, you're seeing them come in. Everything's just fine. You're getting ready. You swing up. And he said, just as I line up, it disappears. He couldn't see the duck. It was just gray sky, the cloudy, day, overcast day, great duck hunting weather. So the weather was really miserable, right?
Yeah.
And he said, I got a blind spot. So anyway, that was obviously concerning on that duck hunt morning. But anyway, he went to the doctor, got checked out, and the glaucoma had caused blindness, spots, and he lost his ability to shoot right eye dominant. Well, he was not ever one to give up. He learns how to shoot left-handed at like 64 years old, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting how our vision can change, and I've been experiencing some of that myself, where your brain just automatically compensates, and unless you're doing some specific task that will reveal that, you won't be aware of it, just as you
Right.
described right there. Yeah, it's like he just got a little luck and got the femoral artery. It all ended well there.
Yeah. I was
And
like, yeah, if
only
you
missed your
shoot a
mark
back
about
hip,
20
don't
inches.
catch that artery. You're not going to get them. And
Yeah.
now the other problem I've got now too with that as I got a little bit older is I got my fiber optic pins, and a fiber optic pin is going to give you like it's a red fiber optic pin. It's going to give you a red dot.
Yes.
Mine are red dots with black holes in the middle of it. Looks like donuts, all the different color pins.
How about that? That's
So
amazing.
yeah, when I because of my last accident, I'd seen a special neural ophthalmologist, I think something like that, when it deals
Yeah.
with that kind of stuff.
Right.
And not the one doctor I get for my glasses, but this is another doctor in there, and we went over stuff, and you
Yeah.
can see all the little stuff on there. And so they're going to go in here on Halloween. Actually, I'm going to go in and they're going to scrape the eye, which takes off all the cataract that's forming and smooths it
Right.
out and it's supposed to heal back over and have your
Hmm.
vision better.
Yes.
Well, hopefully it works. Said it's only a
Yeah.
5 minute procedure, and they numb it up. They don't put you out or nothing because it's only five
Right.
minutes. So they just kind
Yeah.
of,
It's super quick nowadays.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's a, I certainly hope that works out well for you. I trust that it will. It's got a pretty good track record on that stuff nowadays.
yeah.
Yeah. I've worked
Not,
with,
I don't know how they're going to do it. She didn't get into that, but
yeah.
so yeah, I go see them October 31st in the morning, which is good because I got a weekend to start recovering. They said it'd be about a week.
Yeah.
Um, they said they can give you some, pain pills, and it's like I had kidney stones, and they gave me 20 pills for that. I didn't even take them. Then when I did
Right.
pass it, I didn't even take it. Then when I had my
Yeah.
heart surgery the first time, I took one, and then
Yeah.
I went back in and put plates in. I took two. I still got 17 of the 20 left, and it's been probably 2 years.
Yeah.
I
That's it.
still take
I
them.
do this. I do the same thing. Yeah. There's bottles in the cabinet over there from different surgeries or boo-boos. It's like, uh, yeah, it'll be all right.
Yeah, Tylenol.
Yeah, exactly.
With some of
Yeah.
the meds I was on, after the surgery, I couldn't take anything but Tylenol. That was it. I couldn't take any of the other drugs because it interfered
Right.
with the ones I was taking.
Yes, the
And
NSAIDs. Yeah, you can't take them right after that kind of surgery. That's for sure. But
yeah,
yeah, it's like I've had the opportunity professionally, growing up in Oklahoma and oil patch and ranching world, that boom and bust cycle of oil and agriculture. Finally decided as a grown man, I said, okay, I'm going to have to do something to make a living that's a little more consistent. And at 36, I started to college and went and got my degree in a master's in speech language pathology, and have worked and I'm semi-retired now, but I work about 20 hours a week doing that. And I work primarily with medically fragile, feeding, swallowing issues. That's, as I say, supports my farming slash sawmill habit. So, but anyway, the point of all that is when I worked in hospitals and rehab settings, I had opportunities to work with a lot of different patients with visual field deficits of one form or another. And it's a very fascinating world. As you mentioned, what those laser fiber optic, sites. You got a donut hole, right? Yeah, it's just like that. How does that happen? And yeah, it's
Yeah,
like, yeah, just due to whatever the condition is for the individual, the visual field may not play well. But the fact that they can address so much of this nowadays is just a godsend. Yeah. So hopefully that surgery will go well and get you tuned up.
yeah, yeah. The cataract isn't enough that they're willing to do anything because I can still see and function, but I
Yeah.
can't shoot my bow very well because I can't see. So,
Right.
40-yard shots is kind of out of the question, right now because I can't see it well enough.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
always set up for 20-yard shots anyway, but they don't get the script. They come in closer.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're almost always
It's
coming in closer.
yeah, it's a game of how close. It's like, well, for decades, I and well, let me back up just a second. Nowadays, I enjoy hunting, period. Whether that's elk season, rifle hunt, or duck hunt with a shotgun or whatever. But still, my go-to is archery, longbow recurve. And there were several decades that I never picked up a gun. It was didn't matter what I was hunting, what I was doing. It's with a longbow or a recurve, right? And but I've backed off of that just a little bit, just mainly for the pleasure of hunting with other friends and family, right? So yeah, hey, you want to go with us on this? In Oklahoma, we have as they call it, the bonus doe hunt, doe days, right at the end of the year, the end of December, and quite often we'll get together with family friends and we'll go rifle hunting, and that's awesome. Love it. Yes, I like all of it, right? But I was such a diehard uh, bow hunter. There was a period of time I had been watching a group of bachelor bucks all summer, and I'd been watching this one buck for years. And as far as an Oklahoma whitetail, it was just phenomenal. Body size. I mean, and he would score well, but just a monster of a deer for Oklahoma. And the three buddies that he hung out with all the time, they were all Pope and Young bucks, very easily Pope and Young. Uh, and I had been watching them through the whole summer that particular year. I was like, this is it. I'm gonna go get that deer with my Howard Hill Big Five longbow, and it's going to be a real feather in my cap, right? And our season opens like October 1st, and it's getting on into September, and I'm watching them. I'm keeping tabs on them, like 3 or 4 mornings a week, because I would work in the evenings on the evening shift, so I could be outside early in the mornings to keep up with this stuff, right? Taking care
Yeah.
of cows and doing whatever I do and keeping track of these bucks and just had them pegged. October 1st, I never saw any of them again, much less that buck, until later in the winter. Uh, we had a pretty good snowstorm, and I just went for a hike. I'm going to find out where this guy is, and I just go and start tracking and hiking and stuff, and I did find him. I jumped him at the head of a big canyon draw where he was bedded up in the middle of the day. But that's the challenges of close with a longbow, as we were talking. And that's the game to me. It's not how far can I shoot it, it's how close can I get, right?
Yeah.
That's what I love about it, the challenge of it. But there were times whenever I thought I had it nailed over the years, and come to find out, I didn't have any idea what I was doing, evidently,
Yeah.
because that was the only time I saw that buck that whole season. And I like to think I'm a pretty good hunter. I don't know, but yeah, it's like I'm watching him 3 or 4 mornings a week every day up until season starts, and it's just like there's something flipped the switch, and he's just out of sight. And the only
Yeah.
time I went and saw him was I had to go hunt him. I had to go jump him up, just following tracks, and that's all I was doing was just I was just covering ground, tromping through the snow until I figured out where he was hanging out. And of course, he was in a location where, for all the reasons why he stayed where he stayed, right? There's no
Right.
way you could get to him. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He said he was a pretty smart old buck.
Yeah. They didn't get old by not being smart, huh?
Yeah, that's true. Very true. So yeah, there's been a lot of memorable hunts. I know our time's about up, or at least my time's about up. But I'll share this one with you. And this is kind of a little bit of a twist on a very memorable hunt. It's very memorable, but there's so many as you and I have. We could talk
Yeah.
forever about it. But this particular hunt, and actually it's on my Facebook page, which I don't do a whole lot of stuff on social media, but the picture I have on my profile is me with a turkey with a recurve, right? Well, this is not necessarily such a hero statement. I've been fortunate to whack a few turkeys uh, with a bow, but this particular one was a good bit of a fluke, right? So anyway, I'd been hunting a group of birds for a while, and had them pretty well figured out. I get over there and I get set up and I get a little blind spot kind of range and stuff. And there's a group of toms that come around there. The hens were off out in front of me. I'm at the head of a draw, and this is in Oklahoma, kind of at the edge of the Great Plains area. You know, it's a lot of open country. They're Rio Grande as far as the variety of birds, and they're talking pretty good that morning. They're gobbling a good bit, you know, and I'm calling every once in a while, and they actually finally work their way around to the head of the draw where I am, and they come in behind me. So, and I'm getting pretty excited, man. They're right here, and they walk like within 6 feet of me, going around me. I mean, they're just like right there. Well, of course, I can't move. You know, they all got me pegged, right? And I wait till they get off out there in front of me a little bit, and I'm just in the edge of a blackjack oak brush, where it kind of breaks out into a sagegrass field. As they get out under the edge of those blackjacks from me, about 20 yards or so, I finally see an opportunity for this on this one that I can draw. And as we were talking about earlier about picking a spot, it was a total fluke. It was just this turkey's day to die. He reached the end of his string. Time was up. I drew back and failed to pick a spot, and my arrow was going right over him. My arrow hits the blackjack limb and diverts it downward right through the base of his neck. It's a very humbling experience.
Yeah.
It's,
Thank you, tree.
yes, it was just meant to be on that day, I'll tell you. But you know, of all the other, you know, hero pictures, fishing, hunting, and all the good shots and stuff. But I chose that one for my Facebook page just to remind me, you ain't all that great. There's a good bit of luck involved in this whole
Yeah,
thing.
you cut that little
And I,
branch off and then have that there with your bow. And it's like, okay, I got arrow in this, got the turkey.
yeah, yeah, it just went pop. That's good.
I've hit branches, and of course, it sent it off where I didn't
Oh
want it to
yeah.
go.
Well,
And
I have too. It never ended well before. That was the only one.
I had one. I shot at this deer, and I heard this big old smack. I thought, sure enough, I got it. Got down. No, my arrow's stuck in a tree, about a 1 inch diameter tree.
I have.
It split it and stuck in that tree. And of course, I just
Yeah.
cut the tree, the branch, and got my broadhead back. But yeah, that was I got a tree I didn't see.
Yeah. I've done the same. I've killed a few trees too.
Fortunately, that one
Uh,
I could cut a little bit of it and get my arrow back. But
yeah.
sometimes, when you're at 70 pounds and you're at 10 yards, it buries good into those trees,
Oh, yes, it does.
especially those muzzies. They're
Yeah.
tough.
They're tough heads. Yeah. I've shot them a good
You,
bit.
I stuck one night when I was in my store after it was late. I shouldn't have been shooting. I was just too tired. But I hit a concrete block. Did not hurt the broadhead.
Yeah. I believe that. Yeah. They're
It's the
tough.
It cracked the insert, and the shaft was laying on the ground, broke back about an inch or so, and the
Hmm.
broadhead stuck in the concrete block. There's
Yeah.
that pull up, nice little three-sided corner. Those points on those muzzies are, well, they say bad to the bone. Yeah, they are.
They are. Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
shattered bones, and it don't care about bones,
No, they
except
don't.
that one on the shoulder. There's that one spot on the shoulder, the front shoulder, that you ain't getting an arrow through.
Yeah. The three blade's hard to get through that. The the but Muzzy's just a great head. They've been a good head. High quality steel. And I know, yeah, I'm sure you've kind of paid attention to the archery market world, probably more so than I have. But the other part of uh, my background is like by trade, I'm a machinist. Uh, I worked in a machine shop for a long time and familiar with different steels, alloys, hardnesses, and stuff. And it's one of the things that's just between you and I, as far as the consumer of archery products, broadheads in particular, there are very few broadhead makers that will state the hardness level of their broadhead. So what is the quality of this steel? Well, the unique measure of that is the hardness level, Rockwell testing, as they call it.
Yeah.
And one of the few is cutthroat broadheads, and they make a really good broadhead, uh, and they're tough, and it's kind of like that. Well, you shoot that, and you can just, and I like to sharpen my own heads. As far as that goes, it's just sharpening is just a skill that I learned as a kid. Dad taught me how to do that stuff, or to sharpen a pocket knife or whatever. Uh, but I'll, one of the things I have discovered that, which is obvious, I think, if you think about it, but I didn't think about it. I would didn't have a lot of disposable income. I'd buy like a half a dozen heads, and I would practice with those heads. And of course, whenever time to hunt, I sharpen those heads. Well, as you sharpen them, right, your metal's going away. What you start out with, a 200 grain head, which is what I shoot. But if you're not real careful, before long, you got 150 grain, and it's not flying like the rest of them, right?
No, yeah.
Yeah, you wet it all away. But yeah, the quality heads like Muzzy and Cutthroat and some of these others, uh, but there's a whole lot of heads that are not all that great quality when you really get to check, and it can really let you down. I've had to, like these heads I shoot now, I'm not at all concerned with, and I tend to shoot heavy arrows. But total arrow weight 650 grain.
That's a heavy
So
arrow.
if I, if that deer's quartering to me, that's fine. It's going to go out the other end. That's, it's going to go through the bones or whatever. But I've had experiences in the past where I shot that leg bone in the front, and it just curled the end of that broadhead over.
Yeah.
Deer runs off, and of course it's not a lethal hit. The deer survived, but uh, the point is though that's not the way we want that to work, right? We want
No.
that broadhead to stay true and go, yeah, quality steel. So yeah, it's a really need to pay attention to what's on the end of our arrow. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. There's something to be said for that. And shooting the muzzies, carbon arrows and a three-bladed one.
Yeah,
Before I knew, how to shoot and how to set the bow up. Um, my first bow, I drew it back and she said, well, how's that? It's like, oh, okay, it's 32 inches. I'm
yeah.
29 and a half.
Oh
So,
wow.
of course, having a big, heavy coat, I shot this deer and it hit my coat
Yeah, right.
and
Yeah, you're way
it,
extended. Yeah.
yeah, and it hit it in the back leg. It still passed through.
Uh-huh.
It shattered that bone and I still got it, but it didn't run off. It's like, why didn't that run off? Later on, I found it, and you can see where that muzzy broadhead hit the bone. You can see the little chip in there,
Yeah.
and it shattered the whole bone. The bone is in like 3 or 4 pieces.
Oh, just crush it,
It
right?
just took the section right out of it.
Right.
Of course, I was shooting 70 pounds, but I hit my arm, so who knows what the equivalent of there. But
Yeah, right. But still, yeah.
that's why I shoot 29 now because I can wear my big heavy coats and I don't hit them.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's that draw length puts a lot of energy. I shoot about 31 and a half inch draw. But yeah, having the that broadhead is capable of hitting bone and surviving and doing its job. You can't beat that. Yeah, if
Yeah,
you're,
and I've seen so many that I've dug broadheads out of them that have been shot and hit. There's one I dug out of that. It had a weird rack. The one side was
yeah,
kind of normal, and the other side kind of got flat. Well, when I'm cleaning it, I was like, my knife hit something metal. Well, somebody
yeah,
hit it with one of those cheap broadheads that basically just curled over.
right,
It didn't even hurt the bone, and it didn't hit anything vital because it was right there in the back strap.
yeah,
And you got a pretty tough shot in order to take that spine out like that.
yeah, yeah.
And
You got to have some energy to do that.
yeah,
Yeah, it's, but yeah, I'm like you. I've just over the years processing my own deer and well, whatever critter it is, just find all kinds of things. Not just projectiles from like bullets or arrows, but end of a broken tine,
yeah,
stick stobs, whatever. Life's rough out there for those critters.
yeah,
But yeah, there's uh, one of that I cleaned one time. Uh, this whitetail had four different uh, projectiles that had two 22 long rifles in a hindquarter. Actually had a 12 gauge slug in the other hindquarter, and I don't know how far did somebody have to be to lob one over that just went into the muscle tissue a couple inches. I don't know. That was a puzzle to me. And then one of some other caliber. That poor old deer had a heck
yeah.
of a life. But
Well, and
yeah.
and you should never find a 22 long rifle in a deer because it'll never kill it unless you happen to hit it in a perfect spot.
Oh yeah, it's a neck shot. Yeah, or ear.
Yeah,
Yeah, through the brain.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You
Yeah.
could do it there, but here in
Yeah. But
Nebraska, you
in
can
the
use
body, yeah, no.
yeah, you can use 22 caliber as long as it has a certain amount of velocity and power.
Yeah.
So you can shoot your 223.
Yeah.
And I like the 224. I think you could probably shoot that one too, but 22 long rifles, yeah, those don't qualify. Those are rabbits, squirrels, and stuff like
Yeah. Yeah.
that.
That's squirrel run.
And
Yeah, squirrel hunting.
it's crazy what you can find in them. And trout, fishing for trout. I've heard people tell us pieces of glass, bottle tops, the pop tops,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
all kinds of stuff. Anything shiny, they're going to go after.
Hmm. Yeah. Uh, yeah, it's all about placement. There's a guy that I knew years ago that is and he was very much involved in the well, hunting and fishing, but not only that, but just in the wildlife world. But anybody was talking about what's the best deer caliber, or what calibers kill the most whitetail, and his comment was always, well, it's probably not on record, but a 22. It's where you put it. Yeah, I know a guy that runs a uh, well, it's an outfitter, but anyway, he sells hog hunts, right? It's down close to the Red River, and his gets people from all over the place to come in. He's room and board, and it's puts them up for how many days they're going to hunt, and it's all set up in blinds, bait stations and so forth. Typical hog hunting in
Yeah,
that regard. Uh, and his go-to is a 22 long rifle, and of course, growing up on the farm, butchering their own hogs and stuff. I couldn't begin to tell you how many hogs I've killed with a 22. You just shoot them right behind the ear, or just right between the eyes. But of course, you got to have the angle right if you're going to shoot that skull plate. If you're
right.
much of an angle, that's going to bounce off. But he said, "Oh yeah," he said, I get people set up and show them exactly where to shoot and drops them right there in their tracks, and life is good." He said, "Now if you're going to shoot them in the body, especially a big old boar with that plate, yeah, you're not even going to begin to penetrate that plate. But if you if you shoot him where you're supposed to, 22 works great."
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't know for me, shooting going after hog with a 22 is probably wouldn't be my first choice.
well, yeah,
Um,
if especially if I'm on the ground out there with him.
yeah, I want something a little
uh,
more stopping power.
Probably I would take, I don't know, maybe like my 308 or something.
Yeah, I definitely have my
Uh,
44 mag as a backup.
oh yeah, yeah. You always got a sidearm backup for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, 44 minimum 357. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that or a 45 or something.
Well,
Anything
yeah,
with some good stopping power.
yeah, 10 millimeter is a good one. Yeah, all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
That's for sure.
Well, I know
Yeah,
you got to get out of here. You've got
yeah,
something
kind
going
of.
on. It's been
Yeah,
great
we're gonna.
talking with you, and
I really enjoyed it, Roy. I thank you again so much. Thank you for the invite. Yeah, I'm gonna spend some time here in a minute with the kids and grandkids.
yeah,
So, yeah, yeah.
no,
Well,
it's been great. And anybody's interested in catching this again, you can catch it on my YouTube channel. Learn to Fix It Yourself, the name of my YouTube channel, as well as I'm setting up archtalk101.com. And you'll be able to catch the podcast there. They're listed the latest one first on there. I'm building that site out, so there's not a whole lot on there just yet. But
yeah,
probably one of the best places to go is the Arch Talk 101 Facebook group, because there we have this video up there, but we have all kinds of other stuff. There's shooting instruction um, videos that I have on my YouTube channel, as well as some out there. Uh, if you have questions on your forum, take a video with your phone and upload it to the group, and we'll give you a critique. If you're having problems with your bow, just post what you're having problems with, and somebody will be able to get there and take a look at it and give you pointers. And uh, you know, we've got some archers out there that have been doing this for a while, and there's probably somebody out there that has seen that problem and solved that problem. So don't be afraid to ask. That's what we're here for. Uh,
yeah. It's
you know,
awesome. Yep, good stuff.
in the group, you don't have to worry about anybody selling stuff to you, because I don't allow you to sell in the group. Uh, that's just
Yeah,
not what the group's about.
I was going to mention that, Roy. I really appreciate the way you operate that. Yeah, because so many other sites that I see is just it's all about hawking the wares of some sort or another. Uh,
Yeah.
and really appreciate how you operate that.
Now I may have, some stuff for, sell on the website, but
Well, yeah, yeah,
not on the
but that's
group.
that's that's a different deal,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that I'm gonna set up to try and get, generate some income from there. And um, that's just a different platform and a different thing. And I just don't want my Facebook groups to turn into anybody trying to sell anything.
Yeah,
And especially
that's
the
good.
first thing you post is something for sale. Delete post ban.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I ban a lot of people out of the two groups I run.
Oh, I'm no doubt. Just like from the other stuff I see on Facebook, it's like it's some of them are just it's just constant. I mean, just
Yeah.
yeah. So I
Well, I
know
got a
that keeps you
14 or
busy.
1500 in the archery group, and the other group I run's got a little over 17,000 in it, and I delete people out of those just about every day. I delete ban somebody from it, because the
Yeah,
first thing you log on to a group and you try and sell something, nobody's gonna let you stay in your group. Um,
yeah.
Now, in the Arch Talk 101 Facebook group, if you have an event going on, like a club's having an event, post those. That
Okay, yeah.
that's what, one of the things that's helping archers out.
Well,
Let
yeah.
them
That's a
know, hey, we
community.
have we
Yeah,
have a
right.
shoot right here.
Yeah,
Sometimes, there might be a shoot in Michigan, or over in Croatia or someplace, because I have members all over the world in there.
yeah.
So I don't
That's
care where the
cool.
event's at, post it, because that provides
Yeah,
information to archers, and there's bound to be somebody that's looking for one and don't know where to go get one, or
yeah,
where to go get a shoot at a tournament.
yeah. That's cool. I love
So,
it.
well, thanks for
Well,
being
hey,
on. I enjoyed
yes,
talking with you, and
it
it's
is very much my
been a lot of
pleasure.
fun. It's always fun talking archers. So,
It is. I enjoyed it a lot myself. Hey, if I don't get to talk to you before, hope everything goes well with your eye surgery this fall, and they get that
yeah,
all get you tuned up.
yeah, so I can
Uh,
actually see my pins a little better to shoot.
yeah.
I really don't want
All
to
right,
switch
sir.
left-handed. So,
Yeah. All right, sir. You take care.
all right, thanks. And we'll talk to you later. My name is
All
Rory
right.
Canterbury. I've been your host today on Arch Talk 101, and we'll catch you on the next one.